An old woman rang his doorbell at 1 a.m. asking for a man who didn't live there.
Joe.
Then she said she could still hear him inside the house. If you finish this one, you'll understand why his parents went pale when he told them what she said. Subscribe now. This story only gets darker the deeper it goes. High school senior year, not popular, not bullied, just quiet with one close friend, Evan. Strict parents on both sides meant their entire social life happened together or not at all. One weekend, his parents finally agreed to let him stay home alone, 18 years old, and it still took weeks of begging. His plan, even over pizza, video games, nothing else, no party. Just two kids who genuinely wanted a quiet weekend. Friday night, deep into Kingdom Hearts 2, the doorbell rang. Late, unexpected. Scary in the specific way doorbells are when you're not expecting anyone. They didn't answer right away. It rang again. A third time convinced him someone had to actually be there. He opened the door, screen door still locked, and found nobody, no one on the porch, no one visible walking away in either direction down the street. They stayed on edge the rest of the night. Neither of them slept well. The next day passed normally. By the time night fell again, he'd nearly forgotten about it. At 1:13 a.m., he checked the clock. This time, the doorbell rang again. Not a coincidence anymore. He opened the door, screen still between them, and found an elderly woman. Short, white hair. A long coat, despite the warm night, the scarf tied in her hair. She asked if Mr. Walker was home. He told her nobody by that name lived there. Her smile faded. Briefly, then returned, and she said almost fondly, "Oh, that's right. Mr. Walker doesn't live here anymore." He tried to close the door politely. She spoke again before he could. Was Joe still around? He told her she had the wrong house. Asked her to leave. She laughed. Said Joe was still inside. When he asked what she meant, she just kept laughing. Said she could hear him. He shut the door. Her laughter carried through it anyway. Minutes later, looking out the window, she was standing in the middle of the street, facing the house, still smiling, as far as he could tell in the dark. They debated calling the police, and decided against it. Too complicated to explain, too embarrassing if it turned into nothing. At 3 a.m. she was still there, same spot, 2 hours, unmoving. He decided enough was enough. Either yell her off the property or call the cops. He opened the door to shout. She sprinted at the house, an elderly woman, moving at a speed that made no physical sense. He slammed the door and screamed. Even came running, froze, stuttering, and finally managed 2 words. The window. Through the glass beside the front door, her face, smiling. Body bent sideways at an angle that shouldn't have been possible. He called the police immediately. She stood at the window, motionless, staring for several minutes, then left just before the squad car arrived. The officer took their statement with obvious skepticism. 2 teenagers describing an impossibly fast, impossibly flexible elderly woman. Understandable skepticism. Neither of them slept that night either. She never came back, not that night at least. His parents got home Monday morning. He'd planned to keep the whole thing quiet, but the guilt of not mentioning the police call ate at him. He told them everything, the doorbell Friday, the woman Saturday. Their reaction wasn't what he expected. They weren't frightened by the fast old woman. They were frightened by the names. They finally told him something they'd never shared. They'd gotten a great deal on the house when he was 5, because a man named Joe had murdered his wife there, then killed himself. The old woman had said she could still hear him inside. He tried telling himself she must have simply known Joe when he was alive. Reasonable enough, except his parents had more to say. The reason they'd moved out of their first house, when he was 5, was a man calling himself Mr. Walker, who had terrorized the family for months, calls at all hours, threats, repeated attempts to break in, despite the police being called again and again. His father, a hunter, had stayed up with a rifle trying to catch him. One night, Mr. Walker broke in. His father fired, might have hit his shoulder, might have missed entirely. The man ran and was never seen again. They moved shortly after. That's when his parents became the strict people he'd grown up with. He was angry they'd never told him before, but he understood why. 16 years later, he still has no idea who that woman was, or how she knew names his parents had buried for over a decade. He doesn't live at home anymore, but whenever he visits, he finds himself looking out that same window, wondering, still, exactly where she went. Some houses don't just remember what happened inside them. Sometimes something else remembers too, and comes back, years later, just to check if anyone's still listening.